Uh, what's it? There you go. Hello, welcome to the 10th of January of this year, 2023. Across the timeline and the span of universal understanding, whatever space it takes. There are many stories that are known in the future and many details that are never remembered. There are details, parts of stories that are being trashed and they're never remembered across centuries or millennia, not even decades, because they are surpassing stories that, to compare one thing to another, it would be just irrelevant to say that that's what people are going to be talking about. So in the concept of storyline, when you have multiple characters playing and it's not just one book where there is one writer in control of all its book. Yeah, some writers have help and editors and other writers. Still, there is a profound connotation towards what we're moving. There is the rules of role play into multiple dimensions, character versus, and what is the consistency and the heaviness of a story that can pull another one out from the same frequency that it mostly is generated by rage, surprise, wonder, excitement, that rush of energy. That's why people love to talk about other people's greatness through all out history. Greatness and what the stories talk about. Yeah, so you're in your safe zone. You rather talk about, greater problems than yours. Your problems are little compared to such problems. And in these books, people also get to read these stories. This is why I really love to see the rules of roleplay being valued and getting to be practiced as its work is given. I know everybody is after likes and to have views and opinions, scandals, or just prominence with their followers. So one can stretch the line. Um, one have different movements, even from one character, even if it has the same characteristics. You cannot be doing, depends of the character, because many characters are limited of movement, and you need other characters to do other parts of the stories, and they play a very important key play key. They play a key. So today is my birthday. 2 years ago, Harry announced on the 10th of January that he was leaving the royal family as a royal. And it just, destroyed my birthday. I was in the movies and always buy the newspaper on my birthday to see like if it's my date, to see my date there. So I was in shock talking there with the people There was a lady, British lady. She was, of course, after what they did to him. And I said, did to him what? Because there is so many stories that are around stories that are true, not true, and these are as in the times of the gods. They used to be real people, but they call themselves gods, and they wanted to be remembered as gods. Make me a goddess. So not only that, the in the spiritual plane, they had to help. So we have lost this metamorphosis and metaphysics from the soul and the body, and we are more concrete with our reasonable world, and we try to achieve reason. Now, souls are as stupid as humans can be, and they can just wish as any mortal would. So there is nothing special about it. My only connection with the spirits is that I send them away. There have been members of faraway family, from the husband of my daughter family, the sister who died with a tragic accident. They say she had a heart attack, but I think she killed herself because of jealousy with her husband and depression. Um, so I just help to to help say goodbye, because whatever is true or not, it's very important to say that you are alive and you are not alive. So another member of my family, which is the father of an auntie of my Canadian family, is not blood related, but he was murdered in Peru in a village. He wanted to do a village, his house, and have his son, which is the same age of my daughter Alice. Piper is his name. They were all born at the same age. Piper, just 3 months apart. And my daughter Alice in the middle from the other auntie. It is Megan, and the other daughter. Oh, I forgot. And she was just born 2 weeks apart from Zane. But well, he he was, and we could see his murder because they filmed it in YouTube. It's a very long story. I just translated to the family that it was a misunderstanding, but it was a very heavy story that ended up in a horrendous murder, and the whole town was just watching. They're like kind of Native American, from very poor, from Peru. Not like they're dressing in the Amazons. They dress normal. Um, well, normal, just with jeans and t-shirt, and they were filming how they were with the long rope. Maybe it was like a blanket. They were strangling him and pushing him through the mud. One of my fellow friends of role play described the murder uh, just 2 days before with the storyline, but it was a totally different story in another verse, Star Wars, and how he was killed in the mud and everybody watching. But he expressed, well, it's a coincidence. It has nothing to do, but it totally matched because I had seen it in YouTube. And from that moment, not only that, the pictures I took from him, they were all over the news, because they went through his Facebook and they took his best pictures, and they were the pictures I took with my semi-professional camera with my umbrellas from India that they just use in the weddings. So they were jumping in nature and everybody was just having a good day. So these pictures changed, just the pictures changed how they reported the news because he looked like a totally happy, nice Canadian guy, which he was. But something happened there in that village that led to that. Um, well, it's my family. It's not blood related, but we have my children are related to them, so they are blood related in a way. My father was murdered in the village by the people of the village he made, and there is a lot of hatred with poor people towards those who have. So it's just very difficult to understand that multimedia and all this is just separating us playing with us, ways of perception, ways of interacting with each other, ways to help each other, ways to create a zigzag three-dimensional foreplay before the actions that we can achieve that can be quite helpful to not just our day-to-day life with our actions, also with what we bring to society, but there are dangers, of course. So we need a lot of players as well, and to look at the playboard of real life. Of course, I wish to be in virtual reality and through interactive writing, as it is now, and give my work to those who are to be honored. Unfortunately, we don't know what's going on. So I have to talk about Harry's book that is being launched on the 10th of January. So I want, it's my birthday. Like, it's my birthday. Yeah, this is my agenda. This is my agenda for this birthday in this year. So for some reason I got this homemade alcohol from homemade rakia alcohol from Serbia. Love Anna. It's truly homemade alcohol. So I couldn't get drunk because I didn't really drink at all. So 'cause it's strong. I could do kind of like a tequila style, so it can go through with the lemon and the salt. I'd seen Lex Freeman or Newman talking about 1984. So this is a book that I never read, and it was given by a friend last year. And I said to him, "No, I don't want it. This is a book about people who hate those." And I never read the book, and I've never really heard about it. I never heard about it. And he tried to explain me, and I just make up stories myself. But he already brought me a comic book from Che Guevara, and I said, "These are the people who murdered my father. Please get this away. I cannot have it in my house. It is just the energy of the book." "Oh, but you don't have to see it. It's yours." And I was, no. These are the people who killed my father because he's Spanish and it has nothing to do with actually he was the writer and the spiritual thinker behind this movement. So Chavez, not just writing, he did a lot of things so to push this forward. And he supported the people that on the belief, because it's a system of the belief that is getting more powerful to think they can take over you. And this is a very dangerous situation where you're dealing with life, but at the same time, life is dealing with you. And it's not just that you're just walking in the streets, it's everywhere you go. It's in the internet, in here, people talk about it. You want to avoid it, it comes back again. And you might think you can help, you could, but this it still goes on. So I told him the book was written on the times of Hitler. I didn't know, but I could see from the from the cover is the style of Art Deco. I don't remember right now. 50s, right? So that was the movement like after the war. I had a big problem because he insulted the Tories and Boris Johnson. So I was getting ready to never see him again. So I didn't want to talk bad about him as a reason. So because you don't want to hurt people, reasons. Um, I think was they took Boris Johnson. He when Boris Johnson is just from one day to another renounced. I never saw him again. I blocked him from Facebook, and because he is obese, very big, so I didn't want him to feel um, hurt. So I was trying to find a way. And what I felt is that my my words when I talk, this energy can be used against, because he said with all his power and his soul that he wishes that this will end. So it doesn't mean that it works like that. I just don't like to relate with that. Clear and simple. So why should I? Right? Should I? Putting me hurry all over, such as everything is in the settings. Just undo, 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 undo. Something that's kind of like funny, so you just click on it again. And what can you do with the behavioral panel? They're so good, you have to see them. I was seeing them already because of the serial killers. I love, as a writer, the gestures. I've been following them for a long time already. And Dr. Grant and all these things. So it's like I feel forced or obligated to talk about it, but I'm a storyteller, a writer, and this is not my story. This is not. I just try to think like, am I gonna help? What are people going to do as well? Are they gonna help? What am I gonna say? It's just what I really love in Canada. That whatever happened in Peru, and I won't name him, but his soul was very beautiful spirit. because he could understand, and even a very tragic death, he could understand, and he left, and I didn't have to kick him out, as female souls can be very manipulative. I wanted to talk about the female manipulation and how women used to survive by being manipulative. That was their own work, the only work. And especially when they had nannies and people who clean and other people who do their work. All their energy is just to manipulate. And not in a nice way. They look to be like, yeah. So when this other member of the family died, it was like, I'm gonna help to be pretty, to get a rich husband, because they come from that side, other side of the family, which I mean, mm, it's not that they have a lot of money, but they do have more than others. But in Venezuela, there are a lot of people who have nothing, so it's kind of like in Europe would be middle class, that you just have your home. Everybody used to have their home in the old times, because the home was passed to one another. So, whatever you were, a farmer or a fisherman, I guess it's not easy for everyone to have their home. I guess there were not many people, and we all needed each other in a more simplified way. So, is it really bad going on tangents and talking random? Because what if you talk lineal? It doesn't really mean anything at all. You have all these stories coming from all these places. And maybe this has nothing to do, but it's part of the scenario as well. And you just keep talking, right? So you didn't lose the string of the story, or you're gonna cut it off. Just make your story. It's addictive. It's very addictive, especially if you are obsessed with perfection. With no water. I have to get a job, and if they haven't paid me for the work I had sending a package to Bill Gates in Seattle in his PO box, that's been 2 years. And if whatever friend role player has not helped me, and it's just I didn't tell my daughter that I need food to eat. She wanted to buy me something for my birthday. So I turned 49 and she's 29, and she's so beautiful. I mean, of course, I will eat lentils for 1 week with lemon, and I should eat something else, but it's the cheapest thing and it has iron. And with lemon, it transports the with the vitamin C, it can transport the protein and the iron. And olive oil is really good for my mind, and it's easy to cook. So this is a good story. The thing is that I don't follow the story of Star Wars, or think that Star Wars is what's going to happen in the future. Because many people think this is what we are and we should follow that story because that is cool. You really have to be very creative to make your own story. Yeah. It does not serve to think. I had a friend who in Ibiza, Barbarella, yes, Big Brother is watching you, like that book and that. So, uh, um, she is one of my best friends. these friends that you would never invite to meet with other people, but you would always stand by her side and support her, no matter how much craziness she could go through, because people love her in Ibiza for whom she is, no matter what. And she's kind of like an icon in Ibiza, one of these characters. Um, she dressed like Jesus and hung herself in the plaza and called for some rights. So she's very extreme, not just in the nightlife, dancing and popular in the night. The character of this cannot even talk about it. But you have a lot of friends, and but Barbarella have always stood by her side to protect her and to keep the party rolling, because things would happen around her that are totally crazy. And I always had crazy characters next to me because I admire craziness. So I need a crazy character around me, which is they know I am stable and grounded too, and I am crazy as well. It's just that it is just fun to. I mean, it's dangerous to have crazy friends, but there's something sweet about them at the same time. One time I was afraid of having these thoughts in me and it was going to make me crazy as well. So it can be contagious. Absolutely. Not only that, the it is proven by psychiatry that because if you're living together, it is contagious. A pediatrician told me this because of the compassion you feel and you are having the same language. So even if you don't believe it or you're not part of it, it is a baseline in your mental narrative, whatever juxtapoint you have for your own right to believe is part of your story. This is why it's very healthy to take care of families who have, or friends who have, I don't call it mental illness. Right now, I would run through that category because they say a lot of crazy shit and the crazy shit never stops. So they are also prone to meet people who have more mental illness. And when you are an aware person, that you have this thing, you're not that crazy. You are aware. Yeah. So I think everyone has all these mental traits. The problem is when you are hurting yourself and or others. You have to be stopped by law and many times put in a psychiatrist. So in the potential of Harry is dangerous to society as well because uh, he has a lot of power as being a prince of United Kingdom. I have already said this, but it sounds crazy when you talk about crazy things, right? But I have it's been documented. I have said it. I have said it. And it's not just it's in my dream. Why do I have to dream with the girl of Harry? It might not look as crazy, but it is. It is a mental illness, but it is not to be tackled because stigma is the worst cause. Because mental illness is not really bad. If you really look at it, it's not mental illness. If the person can have its house and food and know is loved by its family and society, it is the stigma that drives the person crazy itself. Because that is the whole thing. When they try to fix the person, they try to do the thing, they try to change the story, make them believe, no, this is like this in my mind. And but they will always try to prove and prove and prove and prove. And there enters a schizophrenic behavior. So this is why too many people do not believe in what I say, because I am a storyteller and I don't even believe half of the things I say, because it's part of keeping the story. If I believe in my stories, I will keep saying the same story. It's part of being inventive and flexible and creative and understand that there are multiple stories going on, but at least you have a sense of priority to keep in with what matters most. This is my birthday today, so it's very important for me to talk about the word of the week, which is beautiful. And looking at the landscape of synonymous, there is world class that came from the synonymous of beautiful. It split from the website of 𝙭𝙆𝙆𝙆𝙆𝙆 on synonymous. The word beautiful is split into three branches or three tangents. Above is attractive, on the side is wonderful, and right below is bright. So, wow, bright. So, in mythology, you have Venus for the mortal and material world, Venusian beauty and love. In the second level, with its higher, is Psyche, which is the spiritual love and beauty, the beauty of the soul and mind, that which is bright. And on the third and higher plane is a beauty and the highest beauty and love from all, which is from Persephone, which is from the death and the unknown that you can find from the newly born babies and the ones who are about to die. It is said that those who are about to die are closer to enlightenment because they are reaching death through the older years and decades. So they're having a closer relationship to death and that which never dies. Even if we evolve more than our grandparents or parents, they have an ancient knowledge by experience that cannot be related, and it's not with evolution, it's with the spirit. So this is the only word of the week that repeats every 3 months, because for me beauty relates to these three realms within oneself. The Venusian powers are related to the average that you can see with Meghan Markle and Catherine, now Princess of Wales. The Princess of Wales is being known as Diana since this year. So in my agenda, I have just to pray and just to think about the coronation of King Charles and Camilla as his queen consort, and just to I don't ask myself to be positive because it's too much to ask, and being negative is too less to to have. So just to be a witness is good enough, and get to work with things that can be prosperous for myself, care on my children. If possible, find a hero to honor or that honors me, or many talents. I have this translation that I got from my mother's post of Osho, master from India, and I had to translate it back to English, even though he speaks in English. So the translation might be not be correct because it's translated once and back again in English. It's beautiful rain right now. So I only feel blessings from the Queen Elizabeth, and a lot of love and light. And Diana is transcending. Mm, Never seen such an egocentric uh, form of wanting to be known as Diana. And it's a form of love. It's a form of female love, of taking care because they think they're better. It's a very manipulative form that I will nail it to the wall so you can check it out and see it out of your system, out of as an aspect. So what I'm talking about someone that can be reflected on that. If you keep reflecting on others, it has good for storytelling, but the real world is not what we need really. It's got some scandals, so it's known all around the world, and it's all this opera. So how hard it is, because Harry doesn't have superpowers, and the royal family are as humans as anyone who's trying to keep their commonwealth and common sense. So it's the only thing we can learn, at least for me, to walk out of my house and have some dignity and work, feel that things are working for my life. So these are aspects that we need once again and again to come back, and you zigzag, but you saw it's like a hammering hypnosis, and you bang it again, and you nail it again, and you nail it again. You can go and come back again to that which you are putting in or putting out. So it's a power of imagination to it's not venting reality, but understanding the world play, what people really need. Because if you're going to suck the energy of the people in the media, at least give them something to benefit from. Because it's mistaken by people's lack of wealth and richness and the need to be better and the need to embrace themselves with others and believe that better does exist if we give it a try and step for it and nail it again, because this is what you want and you're doing this. It's like, yes, I'm doing this, and it can be seen, but not by you, because everyone wants always what is better. So I can change things from my sister. I cannot change things back, so it makes me a better person because I'm a member of my family. I have tried everything, but what can I do? It's the same mother we share. It was my mother who gave her the money to do this and that, and that's how it ended up. Naturally, what is my sister? We cannot do these things together, so it's okay. We don't have to do these things together. That's it. Doesn't mean that I am her, but it does reflect the polarities for other people and how they will invest their lives and what matters for them as part of their values. So here Osho says, The words themselves are false. They only acquire meaning when there is a truth in the heart from which they come. And it matters when you're really working on something. Like, I have worked from my rules of role playing to virtual reality, and I'm still hammering for this and how I can also help in real life. But it's not my book. It is not this book. It's no one's script of Star Wars or the Bible or the Quran. This is collective thinking, which we belong to this Holy Ghost that is looking from above all things as an entity that is love, is multi-universal, and it can only be played. You cannot teach people how to play. This is never to be thought in a book. So it continues. You live through words and not facts. You live through symbols and not realities. Words are symbolic. We attribute meaning to them. But words do not really contain this meaning. When someone says fire, there is no fire inside the word. It is impossible. When someone says God, there is no God or divinity inside the words. When someone says love, the word love is not love. If someone says I love you, don't be fooled by the words. However, you will, because no one observes reality. The tissue of reality. But with all its fibers and with all as a doctor and an artist and a mathematician and a scientist and a mother and a father and a partner and a child and your older self that is still not yet, but you want to be that. At least to watch that what you left is your garden as it was planted. Charles made a garden that is called George, the king, and after William there is George. So he will be old one day and see this garden that is called as his grandchild, and this is beautiful. So his older self will see in 20 years this garden. If he dies with the age of the queen, because still young. There's a lot to say when you are in continuous worship with this reality. There is more than words could say, but you still get the string of it, right? If someone says, I love you, don't be fooled by the words. However, you will because no one observes reality. Everyone focuses on the words. When someone says, I love you, you think it is true. He loves me, but just fell into a trap and you will have problems. But you just fell into a trap and you will have problems, especially for people who never stop loving. That word might be true. I love you because in that moment you are the only person who is there. So that love is directed to you. And it is true. But you do not know what type of love is that. It can eat you over because it will continue loving, and not just from any direction, but from moment to moment in everything that is doing. And that is not just the narcissist, this is the Buddhist, the monks, the people who who pray in the church and ask to be present, to be in the prayer itself, in the worship itself, that is in the very simplicity of being in that very moment. No matter how much we preach and sing and say words or songs and mantras and imaginary adjectivities to put there, things that we bring. I've noticed that I call a lot of things. I try to imagine other people when the words come from my mouth, and I look at what I film just to imagine. I'm not really looking at myself. I am looking to the listener. So the variety of love that you have in your mind, in your in your kingdom, in your palace, which is your palladium. Palace is the god of craft. Mind palace, your palladium, craft, but is a creative craft of components that you craft. It's not just a war. And it's one of the names of Zeus in the entrance of the underworld. It's also the entrance of the underworld as part of the map in the world of Hades, where heaven and hell are together. This is not heaven or hell. This entrance of the underworld that is called palace as well is the palladium. It's part of the entity. Energetically feeling is an instrument of a pattern that could be many patterns, so it's not to take it too serious. Before death, you have sickness, war, all these four. Right now, my mind is over it. It's like the horses of the apocalypse. You have these four. There is Eos who comes after, and then is Palace. After death, the first in the gates of the sun, there is Palace. So they call it mind palace, where you think in your creation in your mind, but it's also what you are seeing there. So you can see ahead the movements, and you could work less as well and have it a little more joyful. So you're a master in creating drama, you're a master in creating action, you're a master in creating a lot of frequency and flows of stories rolling. But in reality, what is it that I could just take this story and say, here, I have produced all these jobs to humanity, and they have this water, and I'm filming here around the world. How are you doing here? Oh, you want to go with cool people and famous people? Go and do it with them there and do pranks if you want. Make your scandals, but at least in a more fancy way. Where people can be people to trust the better people exist and they can be as them. Not that you have to be there so they kill you, but at least to have that interaction that is real. And these values that are not just based on the core of what people think of you. So once again, when someone says I love you, you think it's true. He loves me. But you just fell into a trap and you will have problems. Observe that reality that this man or woman represents Don't stick to words. Pay attention to the reality of that person. You must be connected with the reality of that person to know if what you said was just a word or it contained a message. Believe the message, but don't believe the words. If not, sooner or later you will be disappointed. There are so many disappointed lovers in the world. 90%, I think more. Because that was when there was the hippie times in the 80s and the 90s, which there was a lot of lovers and sex going on. Also in the 2000s. And then internet became more a learning tool to never end. Not just the lockdown. It was already, everyone was hooked already. There are so many disappointed lovers. And when I say the lockdown was not needed to evolve with internet, I really mean it. I could say it as if I'm persuading or is subliminal. And I know very well what I'm doing, even though it might look, but it's to make you think. When you talk in ways where people get to think, they believe more in their own intelligence than in what you said. So you're speaking from parallel, respecting that message in between, because you're reading at the same time that which is there in the present. And you could fear a present that has been there forever before the person was born, and it continues as a reaffirmation of the self and that what it represents, the belief. And if this value is going to win over another value, and we see it in the order of nature with the thanks to the scientists in DNA, that we have predominant strands of DNA that will be for this formation in this fetus baby, however it chooses to have this predominant DNA to, for example, that I will look as my father. It was predominant for me to have brown, be brunette, brown eyes. So before being born, as everyone wants to be beautiful, everyone wants to be beautiful because it can give you power. It is Venusian power. It is just the average material what people get to see from an 80% first instance that cover the everybody follows fame and richness and wealth because that's supposed to be better, right? It represents wealth, health, the beauty that you love. You love more that which is beautiful. You like it. It's presentable. It's attractive. So it sells. It gives you power. A certain power. It is for the masses. Now people are getting to see through things a little more and more. They're not very aware of getting it to their action and words and body, but they see it as from another part of their brain because they're not very well instructed and to form their own stories and actions yet. So there are predominant factors by nature, as in storylines. But stories are meant to move. And this is why it's so important, the scenarios and the changes among scenarios. it is the same character, the same value, but is calling for this happening, this movement in this scenario, in this frame square of time space. So you will see it when you come to me and you ask me, I will display it with certified reality document, and you will save me and humanity as it gets moving. Not only for virtual reality, but for the real life world and needs to need activated with consistent human sense. That information that runs through all the senses as well. It's not just that I have to say, look, it moves here and here in the website like that. That's how it moves. I'm gonna say it like from infinite kilometers away from the speed of light, 80,000 billion away. So, because it is my formula that I got, so I'm not gonna give it away for free. I will never be able to do it alone, of course, but I'd rather die with it or see it come through, because it's legal and it's been taken to other levels. With the starting meaning of from what it's meant to work, and that is part of understanding the mathematics of the formula. And it's not a philosophical thing, it's very technical, with coding in the website and anything that is going to go through the program. It's systematic and technical. So if I lie, you will prove is a lie. But when I say it and it's legal, there you will see it's technical. I can talk around it and put colors on it and textures, but it's never going to be given for free. For what it means, it's greater than what you are. Its meaning is greater than who I am. And if you do not trust me, I don't trust you. These are powerful tools that words require, and that which is trust, their trustees in royalties. And without a king, you don't have royalties. It wants to be the king, but nobody is implementing the law of the king, because there are all these inconsistencies. So in this new plane of internet and multiple interactions through the internet, we do not know how to direct a narrative, because we just copy from what is being made, which is make it our story. We're learning, and that's part of having fun, and it's entertaining, but deep down we're doing nothing. Just grooming a vibration and a noise, sound. So don't stick to words, pay attention to the reality of that person. You must be connected with the reality of that person to know if what he said was just a word, or if it contained a message. Believe the message, but don't believe the words. If not, sooner or later you will be disappointed. It's just to remain as a witness. There are some disappointed lovers in the world, 90%. And the words are to blame. Actually, words are a lower frequency from wisdom. So in role play, it gets to such a higher frequency that your stories might sound crazy, but you're moving in other dimensions. So your stories are running too fast. Normal person could not understand what you are talking unless the other players are in that plane as well. They can understand, but you are moving through other dimensions, so it's impossible to understand through some characters that normal people get to play at first 5 7 years, 10 14 years. Some people never get it. So don't stick to words. Pay attention to the reality of that person. It is a reality, but you are also looking at multiple realities that are shared by the reality of this person. And you know that, of course. Believe the person, but don't believe the words. If not, sooner or later you will be disappointed. There are so many disappointed lovers in the world, 90%, and the words are to blame. They believe in them and did not see the reality. Don't let words cloud your vision. Keep your eyes clean in front of the words. Don't let the words settle in your eyes and ears, or you will live in a false world. The words themselves are false. They only acquire meaning when there is truth in the heart from which they come. From Osho must be the book of trust, live spontaneously and open to life. So some values are immortal. This is what the truth, the highest truth, continues to prevail as dominant. It's funny how just look at it, because you have children. These dominant traits exist for a good reason. I cannot prove it scientifically right now. These dominant traits will pump up again, back again, sometime. It is in our responsibility to carry our own characters, of course. I want to read something about the book 1984. I just picked them randomly because I don't want to bring a meaning towards anything really in particular because of a certain reason, or that I want to manipulate for this to happen. But it is the interest of the moment. That was a book there of Lenin. And it's just for my English, so it's my own time. Something of gravity and grace is Christian. Religion and philosophy, or Anglican, whatever. Stalin. So when I don't read full books right now because Stalin. I don't know if somebody remembers this guy. He was from the times of the Twin Towers. He was in the conspiracy theories and all that, and before. uh, citizens. I mean, in the French Revolution was too dramatic for Europe. Now the French don't have a king or queen, so they are very resented with Spanish and the United Kingdom. And they have this thing about, it's good in politics, the liberal parties, the Statue of Liberty. This it came from thinkers or who made the fall of the Empire of Rome. It was not from the royal system they wanted to break. So if you're in Europe and get to see all the all the goodness that has been created from year after year, generation after generation, from all the classes, the poor, the rich, the higher, and you get to walk through the streets of Europe. Any capital, more or less, is the same, like Paris. In Canada, well, Madrid is like Paris. The thing is, they made it more popular. When you walk in the center of Madrid, it's just Paris, and they're like, and they cannot tell you anything because you're from Madrid, so you've been there many years. Your blood is Spanish, so they're Canadian, and you say you enjoy all the Victorian architecture here, and this is not against the beauty that you have here in downtown Victoria, in Vancouver Island. It's hard for some people to honor one another and respect, especially when they have thought to think they are better than others. Because Canadians will tell you they're the best in the world. They are like uh, uh, white people think that, but they never say it. And I know it from my mother, who in my own life would have say it in another way, not like that, like a white trash, because it's the kind of people that would say it, and other Canadians would insinuate it, and with all their being like, oh, they will compare the pictures, and maybe picture that you were passing through is, because they have this thing, so there are consistencies there. It's not just through history, but it's like a mosquito timeline. If you look at it from another perspective as a storyteller that is from science fiction, what is very hard is to write science fiction that is like in this book from just few decades. Yeah. He was wrong with the year because by that time people were just dancing disco and taking ecstasy in the year 84. I don't think ecstasy was very there, but for sure dancing and all types of drugs, I guess speed, some. Imagine after Hitler, what would you do? And all these dictators, there were strong movements and streams. So these are streams. All of these are what you call today woke. The woke, and the poor people hating the hand that can provide a job or the hand that can give. They believe that we're all equal. So you do that if you are high on drugs, You can even fall in love with someone of your same sex because you feel that equality. You are melted in the fusion, you're merging with that love, and you forget what sex you are. And suddenly, I have seen two pair of males fighting. One jumped in another, and I said, I'm always cool. Everyone freaked out and ran away and moved away. I just stood there and they calmed down. They were very young. And I said, what happened is that because you're super high, you don't want to become gay, like male gays, right? So all the height of love, where you melt together as one in that connection of beauty, because you are reflecting from that love, that beauty towards the other that love gives. Um, when these low class people, young, they're not educated with what is what, and they just go in the streets, take drugs. Because I was everywhere doing blogs for homeless people, and my boyfriend was a drug addict. I'm very proud to meet all these people as well, because they taught me other things that I didn't know. But I could relate to these stories and get to learn how spiritual and disattached from the material world they were. It is like a tribe there. They're having a lot of fun, but they get lost from their sense of material beauty and they can get it back. So they lose the sense because of that sense of equality, but they remember they are men and they want to fight to prove they are men, right? Many gays end up raping the other because they want to break through the other one gayness, but they were just high on drugs. I have a report from friend in Ibiza, and I didn't want to be gay. I was just high on drugs, and women didn't want me because I lost my job for so many years. Now the people from South America work for 500 a month, and I would get this much money before, and so. But I am a man. I am a man. I am the one who does him. And you're just listening to this because you're always there to listen, right? I mean, you're not just telling your stories, but kind of like, and you see these movements. This happened here again, right? This happened here. This it's like a Greek fight, wrestling. So between brothers and sisters, there's a little bit of gayish love because you love yourself as that sex, and you love your the same sex of your sister or brother. So it's not like you are horny, but there is a little degree of gayishness. There's a brotherhood, sisterhood, sorority. We all have a universal love which is equal and is true. Yet, when you get to create and use materials to build a building or build a concrete passage for others to walk through, or get to address these fruits so the children can eat it, and these are the value and the cost because it takes so much and children need to go to school, and they could pick a few fruits but they shouldn't be working on the land. um, there is a lot of injustice in the world and laboral abuse, things that matter more. So to distinguish the differences and the values are very important. Of course, from the higher class, if you have not learned these values, you have to pay for to not have learned these values. You have the right to be abused in your labor class. But trust me, no one that has studied that I know in a private school wishes that for humanity. The people who have studied in the highest core of education are in the Christian world, Anglican perhaps, I don't know. I can only talk for my not just the school, but our parents and to a dream zone at least. That we will provide for better education for all those, that we will provide water for all those that we have these responsibilities. And this gets lost in the way with what's fun, right? It's fun. We need to stress out a lot. And it's good to dance, yeah, it's good this artistic expression. It's been noted in astrology, especially in human design. And I wish it could be learned as well. People in this generation are learning to express themselves. This is said by human design astrologist Nerupo, who gave her career of neurologist as a doctor who had 3 degrees psychiatry, and she gave it away to the world of meditation, and she liked a lot of the human design. So she said the next phase, with also the expression, because in the past nobody knew how to express themselves, only the very rich and the artists. And the artists were hated ultimately by the very rich because they were not allowed to express themselves. They would do it in the private, as a drama comedy or fancy, whatever it would be, supernatural, the studies of the mind, the philosophies from other worlds. In these last 300 years, also with the movements of from India and China, and uh, it's not been just from the Greek times and the Enlightenment eras in Europe, but you would not dedicate your life as an artist if you were in the higher hyper class. So the artists were dearly hated because they had to keep their perfection from the judgment of others, because that's another game that has been played across the times, to be correct, to have judgment, to not be judged. So is a mind fuck, because everybody will want to fuck you and destroy you to take your place. So there are a lot of rules of getting to destroy a person by their wrongdoings. We do not punish people now or cast them away like before, or and they will never learn anyways. But their story keeps moving, and I wish to say I'm sorry. I have just come to see you have learned everything as I have learned my own, and you have learned your own, and the other has learned your own, and I may learn to read this book. Just, no, in a school, a highest degree in the exams from books I never read. I just had to remember the names of the characters and write a lot about them. I would have an 8/10, 8.5/10. So, and nobody taught me to do this. So I would ask, and I would have better degrees than if I would have read it. So why would I waste my time to read this soap opera book? Some books I like to read, and some I thought, why would they ask me to read this book without judgment when they're about all this problem and dynamics because of this and the other? And other books, I thank the teachers and I had eat them. And not only that, I asked my parents to get more from Richard Bach, all his books. So I would talk about it because I wouldn't say to my friends in school that I didn't read it in the holidays. So I would talk about the book and they would tell me, yeah, because of this, and then they would all talk about it. And I would just remark on the side as an adjective. I would use that a lot in hypnosis and mind control. You use what the person has said, the person unconsciously feels is being understood because you're repeating the last words from that sentence, and you continue adding to the story, right? So you can even go on tangents and come back with what the person said because you are reflecting and mirroring from the other, and everything you do as one can take you together any place, even if you bring back and forth because you're dancing with words and supposedly trying to create something that is better for you, for both, or for the other. So I do believe that the best people in this world will do the best for the world. And we can only see one world as it is, because that's the only reality that this is true. This cup here is true. I am in my reality. I know it's not water, but that's for me, for my own effect. Deserves to be celebrated, but not everyone has the potential to do so when it comes to time to push it forward, right? So it's very easy to be nice when everyone is nice to you, right? Very, very easy. Easy weasy. I used to say that a lot. Easy weasy. I used to say easy weasy wiry shit when the storyline is getting out of context. Because in role play, when people go crazy and they cannot keep with the story, so they start talking out of character. So here we go again. Easy weasy wiry shit again. Because it's not talking in character, it's out of character, OOC. It's very easy to give people a computer game. Here, you do this. Very easy, but at the long term, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for the user, and it doesn't work for society. It does work for you if you have to target and you're going very fast, and because you're shooting people and you're just going like that. So it helps to target cars and move very fast with a bicycle and just have your rhythm there. Because in the computer game, it helps to certain dynamics in the brain. But role play helps you on the formats. You don't have to teach to anyone. It's going to teach itself. And you know it, but you're not paying attention to the higher values until you give them away because you're responsible for it. But no, you're playing this. Of course, the world needs to listen to you. No one needs a scriven to talk in your behalf. So here we are making this story. Here we are. Jordan Peterson, do you really want to be a psychologist? What is that, 3 years? A career of 3 years. Because that's an ego. You go with that, I'm a psychologist. I go with the Bibles, all the people who have money with the Bible, and now with the Jews as well, because of the Old Testament and the New Testament. And what is the Testament over here right now? Because look at all this. Yeah? You think this is the way to talk with travestis? You're transgressing their line. And woman, girls, all sorts of women. 4 billion women. Because you're going to create more incels, and you do not have knowledge of the power that you have. You do not have knowledge. It's like the people that study criminology. One was saying, if we really, if like, because they laugh, you could tell what they're thinking, because when they're talking about this guy Adrian Cover, the Idaho 4, which is heartbreaking, because I mean, of course, you can understand the killer as well as a writer and a thinker and getting first person for everyone. And the police talks online today. All this, they're the first. So, and they need a lot of laws to understand how to catch these killers, because they love to be online after they kill someone. But they are intricated laws that they should not know, so they're catch. But it's not to promote people to kill others. Because one policeman investigated. No, this was a lawyer. The lawyers even know better, because they have to go with all this. They have to know all. This was a lawyer who came from the military as well, and he was explaining better than journalists, better than the police itself. And another one too gave that expression, like, because they're relating with this, so they know their relation, even if they don't follow that role. And they say, like, without saying it, because they cannot say that. It's illegal to say that. It would be illegal to think about it as well. That with everything I know, it would be so dangerous to as a serial killer to commit crimes with everything that I know, to catch killers or defend them, all the mistakes they do. But there is so much. So it takes a lot of power to associate how you're going to deal with all this power that you got now. With and against. Because one side is going to support you and the other side is going to fry you. So whatever side you pick on your behalf and what you're defending, what is it going to cause? Nobody wants to talk about sexual abuse and trauma. So you have to say sorry if you have been abused, or you have abused your daughter when she was a child, because it was normal. behind the scenes. So there's a lot there to unveil, whatever is true or not. You think it's easier for politicians to be polite, just like that, and try to keep a country together? You think it's easy? All the lockdown, the economy is going down. Look at Boris Johnson's gone out, trying to recycle all this devastation of forests. You haven't gone to the Amazons. You haven't gone to. Yes, there's a lot of green. Of course, there's a lot of green, but how much has been taken? Just in the school I went, they sold the school and everything is concrete. We had parks to have Olympic Games. It's been all broken in concrete. We had like a university city in the school of the Prince of Spain. It's all been reduced, sold and into concrete. I had the money. I pay all these buildings just to make it as it was before. We had so much fields of sport, of all the sports, and we could see all our generations passing from kindergarten to BOP. On that time was BOP. That would be preparation for university. 2 years. So there were 2,500. It does matter. All the deforestation, you're talking like it's not happening because some people knows about statistics. You haven't seen what I have seen. So everyone is selfish. Everyone has their benefit they're going for. Everyone wants more followers. It doesn't matter if people are gonna die because they're supporting the hatred towards women and men need to be men. Yeah. So teenagers changing their sexuality is all based on abuse. So it's very important to nourish our genius and let them think where they're gonna go. Where do they want to go with all this? You don't need your psychologist degree because freedom of expression is more valuable right now, and your freedom of opinion is beyond. No matter how many killers kill women and beautiful girls, these killers have always existed. Now there is more every in USA, of course. People normally kill for survival, not just because they don't have sex. They need some excitement to continue with their boring lives. And all this has to do with a lack of sensors, intelligent sensors, and love, which is the opposite of abuse. But it's boring, isn't it? No, it's like giving your power away. So one of the characters that was said, the Julia is a name that is given to many of the women of the Roman Empire. The Julias are like the Caesars. All or nearly, they were all Julia. Would you need to talk about measures with the freedom of expressions with the board of psychology in Canada? Do you really know what it is to be neutral and polite, to try to keep a country together, to not have a national war, to not have the French Revolution, to not have Stalin killing people, to not have a Hitler coming forward because you want viewers? And I could see that in your anger very clearly. As much as I can love you, I can see your anger. I can see your soul naked, as anyone's soul, at the moment I'm listening to you. Love and hate is just definition of what are you talking and what are you attracting and what are you moving forward. So there are a lot of laws and values, and you just want to represent the values of money, power, marriage, and family. What's supposed to be the right, the conservative. And at the same time, social. Because you were born from parents who were teachers and were very strict with you, never allowed you really to play so you become something important. You believe in that, of course. Yes, many do. Many of us do, and get lost with the anger of the people. Because you only have a percentage that is streaming under yourself. So 𝙬𝙆𝖚𝖙𝖎𝖋 might have millions, 50 million have seen his tweet. But if you're gonna put in a movie the tweet of the year, that is for Greta Thunberg or whatever. Thunberg or whatever. Well, I have her book somewhere. It's yellow. Well, right now we have that which is beautiful. It's important to see the world class. Yeah. So we're doing good, but we're dealing with all these monsters and creatures in the world. It is not nice to see because people get also a lot of views when they change their sex. So they can become famous and it's cool. That's what they see online. Who knows what my teenagers are seeing online in Canada? Alice has the iPhone. They gave this ear for her. So for beautiful, click. For world class, synonymous of beauty from the side of bright. No, of wonderful. So it's said to be synonymous with wonderful. Wonderful? So wonder, wonder. I am married to uncertainty. So it's good to keep that. It's a form of humbling oneself. To think that one has so much control over words and power of that are going to be predominant. It is good to some extent. So the synonymous of world class here come to be. I will read it as from above, going as the clock around. It doesn't have branches, it just has words around. So it's above is superlative, A1 or A one means prime, excellent, outstanding, superb, elite, exceptional. Do we really need to live in a state of war? That is my question. Who is going to talk for world peace? Which is beautiful. I love stories of war for virtual reality and fantasy, and it's very important to have the contrast or stories between groups, and you need your kingdoms or other verses to return where you have that peacefulness and is always safe. You cannot always be in that constant war where it's just put on others and then for yours is good, which it has worked for many years, but we're moving through multidimensional storylines here. There are many people around the world who who like to be part of joining a narrative. In the future is going to be a lot of violence from yes and no, the attraction and the repellion, which are elements of motion. And everything that has a motion, it means from the material worlds. Emotion also has that motion. It's that in the heart and the love that has this meaning because it's true. Yes, so this emotion, the motion, that movement through time and space. So from relating to this psychodrama, which is carried also has to be distinguished from Eros, the god of creation, the god that makes you fall in love. There could be a blessing as a curse if you're falling in love with the wrong person. And everything can be very perfect, but life is not meant to be perfect. Life has emotion, motion, movement. Of course, I love to be always in the same place and have my children accordingly with me, as a mother should, as God wills it. There are dangers out there. Should I live in a state of panic and fear and monotonous paranoia? Yes, just to watch where I'm going because I haven't come to just to have fun. I have come to go to the darkest core and pit of humanity and free the children. Not just my children. And with that, I mean humanity as well, because it all comes from the part within the self that is always innocent, but can be so hidden. So, well, happy birthday to me. I should get drunk. I like to drink, but so to 1984, because It is beautiful to watch a beautiful young man that has aspirations and good words for the world and wants to travel around the world and get to do good things and not promote hatred. And it is good to have passion as well and understand the dynamics of hatred and what is being triggered. But at least to keep it alive, right? To keep it going, to keep it moving. So there are measures. It's not easy. It is not easy. Otherwise, I will be out there doing the crazy virus shit. In fantasy world, it's a lot of fun because there is fiction. But what is fun is to see how serious people take it. Like to see really that you have the potential of putting people in a mental hospital or really go psycho on you. Yeah, you wanna get psycho on me? Come on. Yeah. But that's a funny thing because I'm not taking it that seriously. So when you understand the other person's craziness, because you have understand your own, so your story becomes more rounded, yeah, more fuckable, as to say you are storylining with it from all its sides, right? That's what you want. You want the person to be able to respond to you, even if he wants to attack you, but at the same time to take the movements towards, because his violence is faster, and make it part of your reality. Because that story is gonna go on and on and on and on, and you never know how much hatred there is towards people who do not believe in natural ecstasy, higher states of mind that are products of chemistry, which are created by the highest core. That could be found from sadhus in India who just live by the river, or a dog who is barking on the shallow of a river, or an old lady who tells you a fantastic idea while you're walking in the streets of Madrid. A fantastic idea you never read before, nobody told you. And you really want to make things happen and work. So you cannot change some people, but you can change some laws and the way people think. And it is healthy to understand the children's abuse. That is the key point of a sub-reality that nobody wants to talk about because it's not cool. Yeah, it's better to talk about a woman and forget that we keep raping our minds with the memory that is okay because it was my daughter and nobody knows and something that happened and I have to teach her and I initiate her. These are the beliefs that go. And it was love and it was pure and I am a god to her and her innocence and it's so special, it's the most special. These are the beliefs of the within families, within this any person that a woman might have to trust to keep herself, and how powerless woman could be and how gaslighting woman could be. Don't use this against Harry or Meghan. Make your fucking story, make your fucking life. You know much better. Because everybody was saying what is popular, but you don't know who made that tendency. So be careful. It can disappear and appear. There's something I used to do, and I only talk about my childhood because you would be frightened of me if I tell you things I had done in my adulthood. But I would hide in the closet of the classroom and pass the answers of the exam to the people. And I would come out and I put the jacket and then I would put it back and then come out again. And I knew the teacher wouldn't realize that what's happening is true. I was utterly bored from teachers. Many times I would sleep in my class. And I knew that whatever I would be doing, looking out the window, or I would just be sleeping. And at least if I paid attention, but I was a top cheater. But that made a lot of fun for me. Not that I'm going against society, but I'm helping my friends to have better degree. So we would learn how to take care of each other. We would learn to give good answers to the teacher, and at the same time, we would learn the answers while cheating. But it's not really cheating because you're responding the right answer. So if the teacher has right here in the cabinet the answers, yes, where we would team up to take the answers and copy it, we would have we organized crime already from childhood. So to be in the corner and this and that, and everyone was a leader, but nobody would think that it was they were my suggestions. Who on earth would open the cabinet of the teacher's desk and get the exam's answers? So you really come to it, listen. If the teacher doesn't know the answer and it needs the paper there, what in Spanish you call the chuleta, then you have the same right to copy it because they also had the copy of it. So they're teaching us things that we have to copy and paste and copy and paste and copy, and soon we will forget because it's not interesting. We don't need to know about people in the past. We don't know to know. We don't need to know about things that are not related to the basic things that we really need in this life. We want to be playing and learning while we're playing and doing things and being a little more methodical and getting more excited and getting to learn so much as a child. But no, we have to be there under an institution, listen to a little dictator coming threatening to us with their high heels, looking down at us as we are inferior, to be just locked there in that chair and desk as followers of this teacher, and not only this teacher, the institution which is their director. And I could feel the fear of the system against me in the school of the Prince of Spain. And at the same time, I thank them. But I would have never wished to be a teacher in my life because they were just paid to do a job. I knew that someday I would be free, but they would never be free. And we all knew that. Even the two children who were children of teachers with Emmanuel, Carmen. I know, but you're not like your mother and father because you're our friend. You know, it's like your mother and father would understand you because we're not doing anything bad. If they have the answers, they should know the answers. They're the teachers, right? So we trust in you. And they would never say to their parents. To some extent, they might have said it. So we would go to the office and steal the answers as well. Because we were organized. We love each other. We did it out of fun. We did it out of fun. It was much fun to do that than to try to memorize that. So we had a big closet that would go from one side of the wall to the other. So we would hire winter jackets. Yeah. And you have to be an empath to stay there for 15 minutes and give it to 3, 4 people, the paper, because they cannot pass it to each other because they're the last ones in the class for that test. And it's meaningful to pass the year. And do you really need to know that to pass the year? Not only that, to be threatened by your parents if you're good or bad, if you deserve this or that, or because your sister would pass or you wouldn't pass, and then all this you're doing a good deed. If the teacher doesn't even know the answer, hell no, you don't need to know the answer. Pass the same answer. And let's have a good life. That was what in the end the director said. The director of 2,500 children will come from Santa Maria de los Rosales. Say, I have never come to any class, but we have sent you already all these directors of, and for so many times you have been the only class that have done this for so many years. I've never had to calm myself because he would call my mother many times, but he knew very well that my mother was not to be indoctrinated. And I don't know if he liked my mother or if I was the problem, but I think my mother would be like seducing the director, and she would tell me to do as I may, but that they are being paid to do that. So she would not really punish me to not do that again. She would put me teachers and try to pass the she was very compassionate towards me. My mother and father would reinforce me to be a leader and to not stand to anyone's shit, to be able to respond whatever it takes. So, you know, I didn't come from a blue blood or families who need to show off from the core and get together by what people say. I have family that were adventurous and their freedom was higher. So that was the price to pay. I'm not saying that is any better. But as they would say, it's better to be called crazy than boring. And you will never want to be like these people. Yeah. So you want to create your own life for what you think is right. Not if you die for it. So, and many sayings that relate to the same thing. My mother would say, the trick of me looking so young is because I'll always do whatever I wanted. And I have loved and I have been loved and I haven't had the need to hurt anyone to be who I am. And my father as well. That far I know my father was truly afraid of being killed because he would also say that he has hurt many people and many people had the right to kill him as a journalist. Politics, he would say things that are totally crazy. And he would be proud of it, of course. He was aware that he was in a war field and he ruined many people's life, as his life could be ruined. But he moved in different ways because there are 1,000,000,000 infinite characters. You cannot really talk. As to say, you know how your story is gonna know. As long as it's pleasurable to you and you know your common sense. But there is sexual power behind it as well. Because a limited person that has not really loved many people cannot have universal love. And you might find also that in a priest who is virgin, but his love has never stopped. And he's not comparing anyone. Because he's not in the stage of unidimensional. And you don't want to be in a second dimension either. So I have already explained a little bit. Because if I have to come here and talk about my 20s and 30s, you would just, I don't know, kill yourself. Why? Because you haven't lived anything. And I will never stop talking. And that is not the point. Oh, it's better you just see a little girl there. It's not socio a pro-social psychopath, but it has a lot of empathy for her friends. But I knew very well that none would do that for me. They could pass it like that when the teacher is in the back, but they would not really risk to. But I had like some belief that the teacher was so consumed with what she was doing that after 15 minutes, you're still here. And I say, yeah, because it's still raining and cold. I don't know if to get my coat or not. But I would be making up these stories on the go. And as many jokes and as many stories could go, I have got away thanks to many stories. Was I really bad doing bad to them? So imagine that it was them who, teachers in the School of the Prince of Spain, who teach us to fight and to be able to dialogue. They would say it on and on, all the teacher ear and ear, to be able to respond. They would push us. Sometimes it will be humiliating because we don't want to talk with the teacher. We don't want to talk with. I just want to go outside and play with ball. Little kids being forced to talk to the teacher. What are you saying? This and that. I don't care. There's nature or science or what, like history. Kids, little kids. Like history is too traumatic. You're teaching trauma to children. This is something right also said for education. In adulthood, you could learn, but at least you're an adult and you're mature enough to learn that you're not a slave, you're not black, that doesn't represent you. You grew up with all your friends. Or you're teaching little girls about feminism. No! I was thought about feminism as again, I have to say this again. Girls and boys will look at each other like, what's the problem with this teacher? That adults think that women are lesser because none of us had that problem in our families. We were just, or their friends, or they're teaching us that. So it's like we had to follow that story, right? And suddenly you have to question yourself and all these things, and it's nothing to do with our way of thinking. I'm just gonna go back to go on in the playground to play, and if possible, play while the class is going. It's not that I'm afraid that things could be used against me when I am talking. Is that people have to live their own lives in their adulthood. And there is a sacred life, there's a secret life, there's a private life, and there is an outside social life, which is dependable with your image to work as a citizen and a person that is not doing anything like that is none of anyone's business. But do we have to really invest all our life in our decor? Is that part of the story? It works for many, but is this really what we need to invest? So I just open on the page 204, and I need to read just as a writer, you have uh, more words in dictionary in the back of your head when you're writing. So I think Harry didn't get to write a book because it's the way even Stephen King talks. Stephen King doesn't talk as a writer. He is, because he's not used to talk as he writes. His nerve system through the mouth has not created all this channel of all these words. But each of these words might have a value if it is meaningful and truthful, because we're working our sweat for it. We really want this mansion into a village. We really want these girls to make love to whoever the fuck they want, but they have their status and their children are gonna be safe. And men have their sexual power as well. They don't have to be they don't have to give sexual power to women. Men can be as sexy and sinful as Lilith and Eve, and enlightened as women could be. So, in whatever multiple tendencies and forms that our nature can coexist with and respect our boundaries and limits. So, until it's transferred, there is accepted this value to work. Which is that might mean that this village is having water forever. And that can ripple to thousands and millions of villages around the world from so many people. And they're doing it by their own. Nobody's commanding them, and nobody's getting abuse, sexual abuse over them, or world domination, or Nazis, or neo Nazis, or white men abusing their children, or the church, or any symbol of power that ever exists. Because we're going to be living in a world that is less abusive, right? So this is a story that's not going to change from one day to another, but the more we practice it, not just by story, but actions, action that you can see, this has turned into a mansion into a village. I've talked with this architecture, with this architect. I have talked with this Native American about this architect. This is the way the aesthetic of the town and the culture and the colors and the materials, and I'm learning from their culture. I'm not going there to impose that I'm better and I'm half this to nobody wants to be helped. That is an insult that you study in sociology and psychology and of course psychiatry. That's why you have techniques of hypnosis where no one is being helped and you're not putting there as a dominant. You're playing with other ways. But I'm going to teach you things that are not in the books because they are forbidden. They're forbidden to be giving away from the monasteries of the Tibet. They're forbidden away to give away from the sadhus. They're forbidden to be giving away from some of the higher class. And even some of the higher class women are using these techniques just to prepossess. They're tools of glamour, they're mental tools of just being present. Like I'm the only one, I'm the only one. Remember all this, all the images, that what people like, what people believe, what is the standard, because we are better, we're better, we're better, we're whatever. Because all your hatred is just an emotion. All your hatred is concentrated. So he hates all this and loves you, so you remain there. And you just keep there as if you are the best thing in the world. But you're creating all this hatred in the back by just an emotion, a psychic emotion. And then use it to be you, for you, the best. That's when we are happy. And that's very Christian knowledge. I am heaven, you are hell. Your God is hell. My God is the only God. And I am good and you are bad. Yeah? And to be 100% the good. But meanwhile, and we are superior and we are the best. But this is what is going maybe to destroy United Kingdom and the Commonwealth and anyone who sees what's happening behind the scenes. Because people want power, people want anything that is juicy to be creative as well and beautiful and enigmatic and moving forward to create more, to be more, to have more fun, to see better things coming, of course. But at the same time, they want their freedom. They don't want to fall into manipulations of any kind, transgressions of beliefs. Because people also love Prince Harry, no matter how far stupidity can go from any extreme. And this is a story that is created to create impact. It's a shadow love, and that is meant to happen from lineage of communism and all this revolt. Let's just put it like that. Where China exists and Russia and Venezuela. Venezuela is fine, but I believe Cuba, Venezuela, they can have a little break and make it up to their own and have their cacique, revolutionary leader, but at the same time have a little bit of a dance. And it's good to respect people's differences at the same time. Before creation. So I just opened randomly here and I just read a few words, but everything is interesting. And page 204. It's just old stories. These are all stories from the movements of push to freedom. They want to be under the control of anyone. But we did it. We did need that discipline. We did need that love affair to learn from higher hierarchies and teachers and our parents, and they had to work and just have fun with us. And our nannies would love us and at the same time hate us because they wouldn't do that if we were their children. But you could see that they wanted to hurt you physically because after all, they cannot do that because you are not their child. And your parents are higher class, so they would never do that to you unless because we were brats or we would respond in such a way that they didn't know how to respond back and teach us well. Uh, it was not good enough because some nannies have to be there, so they also need their freedom and their life, and they you wish for them to feel part of the family, but at the same time, there it goes again, the same storyline. This is the same connotation of pronouncing the people feel enslaved by their work, it's not their possession, it's not their children, it's not their way, the way they want to learn, the truth that they want to carry on, what it means better for them as children, as adults, as teachers, what this system is made for. Of course, we want a system that that works, that you have a hierarchy, that you are giving from a higher hand, and this is working consecutively in this sequence, and we are capable of understanding that this is for music, this is for editing images, this is multidimensional with all the arts, and is happening in synchronicity with many stories at the same time from many entities or verses, whatever is real life or fantasy. And some people have orgasms with their stories online, but you guys are like 300 years back in the chain of evolution for me. I told you, Winston, he said, the metaphysic is not your strong point. The word you're trying to think of is solipsism. Oh, it's my birthday and solipsism. Solipsism sounds like the view or theory that the self is all that can be known to exist. From Latin solus, alone, self. Well, that would be like being selfish, right? Only the self exists. Selfish, narcissist. Only the self exists. The self could be related to the entity of oneself or the entity of yourself as such, with a nation, with a kingdom, with a system of belief, with a communist, with now Greta Thunberg says, I'm an extreme communist. But if she was welcome to Glasgow or to speak among all of them, but she was treated there and excluded. So now she feels more extreme because she was excluded. So we have the zigzag dance, and we cannot allow such a things or behaviors, but at the same time we have to deal with them, and they keep being part of this. So now it's closer because you cannot just enjoy now in closed doors, because this is what's happening in the media, not just in the newspapers, but every time you open your computer, unless you have to get your settings away from it. What would happen if you do that? Solipsism. I told you, Winston, he said, the metaphysics is not strong, is not your strong point. The word you are trying to think of is solipsism. But you're mistaken. This is not solipsism, collective solipsism. If you're like, if you like, but that is different thing. In fact, the opposite thing, all this is a digression. He added in different tone. The real power, the power we have to fight for night and day, is not power over things, but over men. He paused and for a moment assumed again his air of the schoolmaster, questioning a promising pupil. How does one man assert his power over another? Winston, I never read this before, but I guess that's what man asks to each other, right? Winston thought, by making him suffer, he said. Exactly. Well, it's just breaking their boundaries, right? Probably some people take too much pleasure from it, and you don't want that. So you have to be very sophisticated to understand what pain is. But you can only understand your own pain. If you get too distracted with your own pain as a sadist, not just your own pain, but you're praying with people pain. Let's remember the sadist enjoys pain. The sadist is also having pain from the victim, is sharing the same pain as when you're giving pleasure. If you're giving a massage, you're having the same pleasure than the person who is receiving the massage. If you're serving, you're having the same pleasure of people who are being served. So the sadist is having the same pleasure, the same pain that is giving, but is not the receiver, but is feeling that pain as pleasure. The problem is you don't want people to get used to pleasure with pain, because then they will not understand their own limitations. They will get distorted, they will get twisted, they will transgress with their own values. They might end up with drug addiction like Harry, or anal sex fucking Megan, or believing that everyone is wrong and he's right because feeling high. Yeah? How many times everyone has been high? And everything makes sense with your sensors, right? It could be totally a psychedelic trip, and it's just an illusion, a creation of the mind from emotions and the memory. So you could share them at the same time, but what did you do? Did you produce something? Did you make a better world? It's like talking bullshit every day in the media and meeting people. Content, content. Yeah, people are dying there in Ukraine. Who cares? Right? Who cares about Putin? Nobody's going to help him to stop this war. And the Kremlin is going to be the last one to help him stop this war, because they have to get into negotiations about values and land and this and what land yes and what land not. Whatever makes reasons to stop killing all these people and counts all the people that could die from today, Russians, Ukrainians, and volunteers. There could die 50,000 people. But no, well, what are we going to talk about? Because nobody's going to talk about making a peace treaty. Well, it's not talking against your own country or against Russia. Because they say, yeah, I want peace, but they have to get out from the land they have taken. Then you're not talking about peace. Because there is a conflict there that needs to be stopped. They both share the same land and finish until there is another story there that is being formed. So another type of fight, or bring it on virtual reality, or in sports, or in mediations with YouTubers from Russia, YouTubers, thinkers, professors, whatever it is, whatever story needs to be turned, whatever reality needs to be. So it's not just these people dying, but the future wars to never exist anymore. This type of behavior is unacceptable. And if people want to make money and power and fame and followers and likes, then we have to destroy Facebook's likes and Twitter's impressions, because they think they have the power of the whole world, but 50 million impressions are not good enough. In your mind, you are the king of the world, and you have a lot of power, and you know you could win, but in reality, you have lost half of your money, maybe. Maybe not. Maybe you will have it in your mind. Maybe those who make you rich are the evil as you sell it to the people, because those are the people who give you likes and impressions by all the time you consume there. Is this the way to be? Cool, go to virtual reality and have some fun, but no, because this means business and likes are power. Good. Go and fuck the asshole of Amber Heard, who later is going to scream against men and violence. Who knows? Maybe she was giving anal sex and she didn't like it, but she did it for money. right? Because that's what incels would like. Look at Elon Musk talking with the nerds. You have to date it. What do you do? How do you talk about a woman? He knows what to say because he's smart and he knows women are watching. So, well, she's a good friend and this and that. So they have this crypto money universe, and the rich, very rich, have their own way of sharing their wealth among their, whatever they call it, pipes, tunnels. And then there the philosophy of the communists who don't care about women or children as well. So there's a lot to learn here in this interaction. And there's nothing wrong with coming down to work with normal people and get to show a little bit of class. No matter how many bodyguards are with you, maybe they should work as well. And it's not community work. You are learning with others to become a little more human and get to understand how people see you. Because if I tell you how people would see you, in one side, you are in your full potential, shameless, because there's nothing wrong with being great. And you're well protected to do so. Another thing is having stories aside that are pushing you towards an image that it was not the image that brought you there to power. And I should never say what this means because it's in your own knowledge to keep it for your own, and you know. So well, I don't want to read about this book because I could just to feel it, I just to feel it. Stalin. It's the same book. It's more or less. Do you really want to read Stalin? Study communism? As characters, I like them for a fiction stories, but in reality, no, at all. The scattered bones are tied into a bundle. The knees, the hands, the human eyes, shoulder, smile, small serene mouth. Thinks, oh, it thinks, and tries to recollect his human guide, all the songs of the poor. That the poor have their own ego too. The ego will always appreciate their own and hate the other. It doesn't matter if it's categorized as poor, as rich, from this tribe, even from this village to the other village. You're different. You're better. You love each other because of this, and you hate them from that. And this is why you make together what you are. Michael Moore. I was dancing when the Twin Towers fell down, right there in the concrete. I was not dancing, I was just jumping and pretending that it was cold. I was seeing all the spirits that were still shouting. I was hearing them, they were still shouting. So I was just jumping in the same place. My bus, Hindra, took me there. We would go there many times to pray, but we would go on the same night, but they already had circular around downtown New York. We live in the Street 52 around, like middle, not Upper East Side, the middle of town. And I would just stay there, so jumping, so they know they are not in the realm of the body. Because how could you understand you have died so quickly from something that is unthinkable, never have ever seen before or could understand? Especially they didn't even know that there were the first tower. There was it was a plane there, an aeroplane. Um, there were many people who jumped. The, I was to still hear the shouts, but the agony, and just jumping, just being present. That I am in the body, you're not. Just being present, not telling anything, just being present. But this is taking years of meditation, being doing all these hardcore meditations, many. There are like 100 and more, just to understand the linguistics of the souls and the emotions and the pathways of just being alert, watching what's going on without the judgment. The judgment wants to discern. It's just learning to say, here, this goes, this, that, this is good, this is bad. The witness is the one who is present. So you are in the company of that which you are being present with. So this was kind of like the first conspiracy theorist. Dude, where is my country? I've always thought it was interesting that the mass murder of September 11 was allegedly committed by a multimillionaire. We always say it was committed by a terrorist or by an Islamic fundamentalist or an Arab, but we never define Osama by his rightful title, multimillionaire. Why have we never read a headline saying 3,000 killed by multimillionaire? It would be a correct headline, would it not? Not part of it isn't and true. Osama bin Laden has a set, well, super spectacular stories. Yeah, the hatred of the people. Once again, the citizen. I mean, why would I do the goddess of hatred, which is divine rage? So, with this character that I have created, but thanks to everything that I read and the images and inspirations of illustrations in a top model, I could get to perform for this character that rage has so much power to manipulate movement. The divine rage, this character would play with enraging, which would not just be for hatred, but also with, sexually enraging. So, and many times would say it looked to be a very sexual character, but after many years, people would say, "Oh no, but she's frigid, or because she's never seen her like because." All her stories were sexual, but she was totally. And sometimes it would just give it like that because people don't understand it. The role players, anyone. Well, I'm the goddess of rage. I'm not the goddess of penetration. Like, you can rage and do whatever you want with your energy, but I'm not gonna fuck you, or you're not gonna fuck me. You're probably gonna get fucked up if you follow your rage into the pit of hell, or enjoy fucking yourself with it because there's a lot to go. But in the sense of a river that is totally metaphysical and it doesn't exist, it is cool. But in the sense of storytelling, there you have from the French, but you have philosophers, you have the Greek, the Roman Empire. The French Revolution was not just created like that. The Machiavelli had a lot to do, and the movement of the Enlightenment era in France was apotheosic because it also related with a lot of sex. That's why the Christian church is always being with the Greek philosophy. I don't even talk about it. The pagan. Yeah. I had a kingdom of France. Was just there were many kingdoms, so I know that there are some people who want to take advantage to make headings and make a lot of money as if this is part of a stolen formula, as if it's theirs. But all you're gonna get is fucked in the ass and everyone to see it if you keep rolling with it. You have to pay my work if you're a witness to it. Let her in, came the voice from the bath. She found him soaking with the habitual wet cloth tied about his brow or arm, slung over the side of the tub. For 15 minutes they talk about the situation at Caen with Simone in attendance. I don't want to read this. I don't have any book from the Marquess du Sade. Which the word sadism comes from there. I would be frightened to read his book, but these people still exist today. Um, they have a lot of money. I feel you have to. You would never imagine. You would never imagine. But they mean so good, and they're so nice. Of course, with internet and all these little cameras anywhere, they and some people who have come to talk. So, the Chamberlain to the King of France and many other characters, I have seen how many people wanted to destroy the kingdom. It was the best group with many kingdoms inside and castles. And I'm going to talk about it because you only have copyrights. Copycat would be too much to say when you are a filthy rat taking my work. So how much money Bill Gates gave you? It doesn't matter. You can have your own and make believe everything you want to make believe. Just then, and then your little world is going to be shrink down. What are you going to use from me to make these stories against Meghan Markle? Whatever you say, nobody's listening. You only have few followers there, and no matter how much respect people have for you or love you and admire you, they wish to do better with you and get to know you. They've never seen so much magnificence. But for that, as a role player, as an actor, as a writer, as a composer, as a person who cares for his dominion. But people, especially in America, don't give a shit about what people think about them. They don't care about what people think about them, especially in New York City or places where you can be a nobody and just do whatever you want and return to do whatever you want, even if you're no people around. 'Cause you know the ways. You respect yourself as much you respect humanity. But you really look at all the humanity looking at you. The people we live with influence us. They influence our way of thinking and moving. And it has sometimes nothing to do with whom we originally are. And I know that because I've been possessed by another person's psychic way of thinking. Even I knew I was not that. And you think you can be manipulating and making to believe yes and that and yes and no and yes because I'm making believe that because you are better and because this and that and because this and we are because of you and that. And it's not like a mystagogue that is a mystery and you're just making. You will always have this yes and no of the dramatic where you're bringing all these people even in your human design, but this is also in the human design of the future. This yes and no is the portal of that electricity that is forming all these values and that creates a lot of violence as well. Not just expression, but a lot of dynamic, a lot of energetical movement. That dramatic yes and no, yes and no, yes and no. And it's passionate as well. But there also exists the traits of the submissive and the dominant. But they both play this back and forth as a yin yang. And if you see these traits, you would see that the white has a little spot there that is black, but the black color, which is little brings a stronger juxtapoint, a stronger contrast, because everything around is white, but its little dark spot is simply stronger or more annoying or more pleasurable. But it's in the black, the little spot of white makes the black more beautiful. Is what like as when it's said that men carry this energy of the yang, but when they come into the energy of the yin, there is that little spot of white or black. I'm very dyslexic even for yin and yang. So whatever be it, more or less you will understand where the direction goes of right and left and the energy of man and woman. So say things that more or less get something lineal here. Overall, the men are very sexual, but when they come to the white point or whatever is dark, they become more in the heart. And women are normally vibrating in the heart because they have breasts and they give milk and they nourish. But they when they come into their sexuality, which they say is 3%, not all, most women are castrated and manipulative. They cannot surrender and go crazy or beyond. So they will become more sexual, as a beast or whatever it is they call it in different religions or systems of belief. The one thing is, of course, woman gives birth, but at the same time, when you are giving birth, you're feeling death. The moment you are giving birth, unless you're drugged and all this. So it's very important to be aware without drugs when you're giving birth. But still, there is that. It still is there. Whether you're drugged or not, you're there. plays many chemistries there. So when the man comes to the heart, that is not all the time, could be 3%, 0.1%. That when a man comes to the heart as a Jesus, he becomes a master that has love towards all humanity. And that love can ripple towards millenniums. And that maybe women have love all the time and they will never be a killer, a serial killer, but they will not be like a Jesus. They maybe be like a Madonna, but for that you need a lot of sex, not like a virgin. It's making this part up, but more or less, as to say, these energetical poles of attraction, polarities, and rejections that are being played through every strand of DNA, which forms us. Yes and no, yes and no. This goes here, this goes there, in every little design of us, ours. Yes and no, here, yes, 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 yes. In the construct of our physiognomy and psychology, which is our ego, narcissism as well, ourself. So it is very clear to understand that I am only here with the interests, royalty, what brought everyone to the table for King Arthur is part of being a niece and having a royalty, for that to be explained by monarchy itself, that I want my piece of cake and my piece of royalty, that I need a hero because I gotta do this. That's why I gave my work so it works to the right people. It got in the wrong hands, and then it got in the right hands, and maybe it got in other hands, and maybe Bill Gates is a good person, and he's not. He's not this or he's that or he's I don't know. All these are stories. So, what story are you going to do that is gonna make work? So, in the reasonable narrative, you want everyone already to be working for the generation of King George. My children should never have to go through this, nor their children of their children. The Merger Filling Fee Moderation Act of 2022, MFFMA. Merger Filling Fee Modernization Act of 2022, Consolidated Appropriations Act 2023 into law. So the Congress of United States of America is dramatically increasing merger filling fees for largest deals in 2023. How will filling fees charged? Talking about William and Charles. But it has nothing to do with that, of course. It is to the will fees charge. That's totally in the god Sharon. Now, of course, the governments of China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. While it is unclear when exactly these fees charges will take effect, Senator Amy Klobuchar's office had said they will go into effect sometime in 2023, any part to a merger which may be subject to a dramatically increased fee should pay close attention to how the fee is allocated in a merger agreement. So, who is in charge of these charges? Additionally, parties should work closely with HSR Council early on. I mean, this has to do nothing with the cookies and the cake. Of course, government has to be in charge because there are local problems and there are local concerns and there are local responsibilities that is going to go back to its local sources from everyone who is an user, not just a holder of internet platforms. So in the merger, which are a thousand fucking ways to role play and get into not just virtual reality fantasy characters, but a real life dimension to catch this information in certain place which are to detect without reporting like that. I cannot talk about this just like that for my birthday as to celebrate what is beautiful, to celebrate the these bills are coming into action. I really love to see the tech titans coming together, and not only from United States of America, but in United Kingdom and from around the world. And if they can be an instrument for those in government who have no idea, because it's not the same when you're being paid to work for the government, no matter your cyber security from the defense of secret service. It's not the same as doing what you do on your own or as an entity of your own. When you work for a government institution, you are following orders. You don't have unlimited time or decision making on your own accords and values. And this is, I'm not a tech giant. This is something they know. So just these very few have to get together to help this forward because they are the ones who know and they have to really show us the way. But this does not come from a government institution that is the United States of America. This can only happen from the tech giants of the United States of America and the world. And there will be peace. We need mediators as never before. Mediators will help in the technological field of multimedia to translate what the highest core is trying to do and it's never been done. So if we keep going with the narrative that the richest people are evil, we're gonna have the same story. It's same story, just different scenario, different picture, different characters. Of course, royalty is going to continue. Those in power are going to continue. If not ones, others. Same story. Oh, that is so beautiful. I just said this to my daughter, who was for my birthday in the chat. And I was telling her that she's the greatest gift. And I said, you, Alison Saint, are my greatest gift. Even if I cannot be with you right now. I really didn't need anything but them to know this in infinite time. That is like true love. It comes from infinite time. This picture says, illustration, Mom, what is the meaning of life? And the mother, which has dresses the, and it says universe, the universe. And the little kid says me. The mother, which is the universe, says you are. I wanted to talk about the meaning and the value of life on this week, word of the week, which is beauty. We're gonna do anything alone. There are things that require independence. There are matters that require the integrity of a wall, of a group, of an according understanding. To have universal love is to be as transparent, as selfish. Of course, you need that selfishness to stand and be seen as such, and moderate and articulate all this. You also have, I don't want to say it because it is of yours. You have to trust in the other and universal love. Or when I say, because it's part of the rules of role play, and even you have a system and a format and a material form that correlates to this, to go faster and stronger, which I will give when is accordingly in its natural order. We are characters that are obsessive. You can understand that the more power you have, the more caring, obsessive you can be. They switch on and off. If you don't care, you don't have. So it is a dance between being dominant and at the same time being perceptive. Which submissive does not mean to be powerless. So it is kind of difficult when the submissive part is like just watching, like if he's controlling because he's there. And he's always servant and he's always utility. But at the same time, could be more controlling and domineering when it looks not to not be. Does not mean that it's healthy or good, as it pretends to be for the wall. You want to shine, you want to be happy all the time, to say this is good. Things change. Things change. And sometimes there is no peace deal to have things as they were before. So you will have to create a substitute power to generate a totally new story, unless one of you both die and one wins, as always. But in our narrative and in our role play, what we need is to keep the story together so it keeps playing. So we move this to a higher dimension, not just for us, but for all of us. Of course, somebody said in United Kingdom, the Telegraph, an interview, if putting another to change Putin, if they change Putin, you could be a worse person. So it's not a matter of we don't need to hate all the Russians. So these are narratives that are in concern to all our values together as a human species. And who is best to talk about it? But no, the politics, but influencers are now taking a lead. Because in the old times, it was promised that they would have a land and they will have a little kingdom within the land. They will be giving a castle if they conquer so much land in South America or North America, Australia. They would have a higher status. These are unknown fields to get to a universal understanding for basic human rights, if possible, to stop all the wars in the future and the weapons, because there are many people who believe in weapons of mass destructions. There are many who believe in oppressing others to be better and of conquering land, which has happened and it keeps happening. So we are on the cusp of a story to see and think if we are going to respect these terms, if we are going to create a visual effect, what we can see that all these nuclear weapons, all these weapons are being destroyed. We can kill each other online in virtual reality. Trust me, I will welcome you to the underworld and you will suffer equally for sure. You really want to win and be the king of the universe if you really want to make that believe as well, to feel super powerful, because that miserable we feel deep inside. Not even sex is good enough to feel so much power. Delusions. But to lose your senses, for how much money would you be capable of selling yourself to lose your appetite, to lose your sexuality, to lose your perception to dance with one another, with your grandmother, to learn balls? Like, what the fuck says, like, I dance fucking salsa, I'm the queen of the dance floor. Why? Like, yes. Or to dance tango. Whatever it makes you feel rich inside. Because these are things that require surrendering. And these are arts that are not valued. But in the art of glamour, you have that surrendering skill, which is giving. And it's a gift that people wish to acquire and cheer with. These are riches why people fight for, not the element of numbers and figures of being rich. Because they like to go to a nice restaurant, or they might like to be the assistant of their own chef. Like, for example, I would like to have a chef because I've been a chef, I've been assistant of chef, and I have been the chef when the chef is not there. I have many jobs. And I love to work in the kitchen in India as well for love. Not for money. Why they would leave me to be the chef? Because I would never allow anyone to gossip. So, well, you can tell me anything, but I will say it to the everyone. So they will be very aware to, well, because we working together. We're working together. So do you really think the people are not going to know what you're doing? People know when you're talking bad about someone or you. Even if you fake it, people already know. There's no stupid person on this earth when it comes to choose. And the less you know of modalities and decorations and make believe because they will follow because I have this dress and I have this. And of course, I will have more men with more men if I wear these dresses and go to these places and I'm with these people and I get more houses and I get more husbands and I have more abortions and maybe drink more wine to be more nice. I mean, to be more and more and more nicer. Now I think I'm getting drunk. But one thing is to be celebrated. The- All this doesn't matter. It's okay. You can do whatever you want. If it pleases you, if it pleases others who are aware, okay, do it. It's fine. Everyone loves to love and be loved. And when difficult times comes, are you capable of standing to this for how long? Just to be known, to create impact? Because that is the shadow love. I will never in my entire life wish for King Charles to be coronated with these stories in the air. I'm not going to talk about past life. I'm not going to talk about the stories in the future or science fiction. I want to go out and change this bottle of Prosecco in the supermarket and get some food under the rain. Yeah, it's 9:42. So cheers. I always have beautiful umbrella to walk under the rain because nobody's walking when it's raining, and I love to walk under the rain. A beautiful, strong umbrella. Sometimes I'm rich, sometimes I'm poor, but I always have a strong umbrella. A nice, strong umbrella. Well, that's it. I learned to walk without an umbrella in Canada thanks to my boyfriend Randy. Um, we're separated, so it's hard to call him ex-boyfriend, even though I wanted consciously to separate from him, but I couldn't because I love him till death. So it was very inconvenient to be with him in order to recover my children because of what people say. And society does not accept drug addicts, of course, even though I wanted to live on my own, but that would never be understood. And he would break through into it because there were a lot of problems that were beyond my control because I don't have certain capabilities to control myself towards certain situations. I'm not perfect. I am a big sinner and I love to love. So I don't reason very well. I have no consciousness at all when it comes to love. It's just love. So many friends from that are from the therapy realm of my mother, there are therapists too. They say, "Oh, the problem with Sushani is that she's drug addict or under the influence or anything. She's naturally like that." And it's kind of crazy if you really think about it. This is why I can understand the crazy so well. And I love everything that is crazy. but in an intimate, superfluous way of storytelling and expressing and sharing. If it's possible to come out to the world and trust that you can make people's life better, that would be great. To see my children and their generation that is going to be graceful, better. The woman with woman are going to be sisters and they're going to share the best of their own and enjoy their beauty as they are without having to kill each other in the back and manipulate men. Men love all this psychodrama with women. That I will die for you, that I will never be with anyone. That all this for you because of our decor. Look at our picture. I will dress white as in our wedding. And look, and they love us because our story. Woman loves the story. They will give their children into rapery just to keep married because it's a psychosis of women, an obsession to be married, an obsession to castrate men, an obsession to be with society married woman. That's such an egocentric bullshit. I've seen it over and over again. I tell like I told Randy once, like we had the supernatural love because he was always high on drugs and I would feel from it as well. So just to hug him from all or in the air, whatever. And I would tell him, if you want to be with that girl, be with that girl. You're free. You're free to love, but don't be with me because I'm happy anyways. But he wanted both. And that is what I wish to be deported. So I had this like schizophrenia inside my mind that I wanted to be children in Canada to recover my children, and I got a benefit that would help me to recover my children if immigration would have set me to stay there with a law that I was fighting for, even though my husband was against me, saying a lot of lies. I never left him. It was him who was with another woman. Later on, I was with this guy, which I love. It was totally crazy on my part, but what could I do? I was abstracted in love by Randy's blue eyes, and I am distorted myself. I love things I shouldn't, so I go for it. I know I shouldn't do that, but I say, well, just let him be. Take his drugs. You do your things. Never push him to change. You're a free woman, so go and love him if you like. He's so beautiful. It would be so nice to have him. So I did. As long as you keep straight yourself, everything's gonna be okay. I'll remember this to myself. So he's respected for whatever he chose to do with his life, as it is to take drugs until wherever he wants. And I love all the people that I have loved, so I cannot ask another person to not love all the people that they had loved. How could you ask someone to not love their brother or the wife or their brother? Because anything is fine. Just keep it and pray that I will remain here as the queen, drunk. That's what I see, really, actually. In Venezuela, they have many sayings, and they say, you would rather trust a drunk man than anyone. They will tell you the truth. I remember the with Prem Rush, I was 17, he was 50. I went to him totally aware. I used to see him around in India. In India, people don't have much perception of ages. And in those times, in the early 90s, it was the year 91, in the 90s. Super handsome. Like, I've waited 3 years, a lot of years, when no one is virgin anymore and you're the only virgin there. And all these hippies are having boyfriends and girlfriends. Even your little sister had many boyfriends. But you're like, I don't want to be with a kid or a teenager. So I had this DJ from Goa, from Italy, very handsome. His name was Anuman. He had a Enfield, very handsome with tattoos. He gave me a picture of himself. I couldn't go with him to the north of India in the Enfield motorcycle. But it was good that my mother didn't give him the money that he asked to take me to Manali, because she knew very well that he was gonna get hashish to sell in Goa. So she had me with her in Pune, like, yeah, you can be free, but kind of like, you know, I would like you to go there in the unknown, like to be with, you're still underage. He was 23 and I was 17. But for me, it was a long time. It was like a century to see who would be my first boyfriend. It has to be very special. Like, it had to be a mature man. It had to be a man, a real man. I was in my boarding school in Devon, United Kingdom. It was a hippie rich school. It was not really rich because I was coming from the school of the Prince of Spain, and that was just disgusting. Seeing all these kids having sex, just to imagine they have a penis like that, and they were having sex, and my friend, I'm not gonna name them, was shouting. I would hear it, and then she would tell me, like 10, 12-year old kids having sex just because they saw their parents having sex in the same room, in the attic, whatever. It was crazy. I had to teach children, like, you're not prepared with your hormones. You're not just built to have sex like adults do. They all have a system to correlate, a space, a relationship to carry themselves through. We're still in a playground. We're still independent. We're not even formed physically. And nobody, well, I did read a book when we were camping in the river. I was 14, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to teach Tantra, but I didn't know what Tantra was. But I was still a virgin. There was these two brothers, sexologists. And I did believe the true love that my mother had. And I did believe in her love. And I did believe in her friends and the way she related. But I really did believe in my father and the relationship they had together that continued. I wish my sister could understand and let go. Into that freedom of love, which is not possessive, domineering, and castrating, and taking over. Is deeper. Is deeper than the context of material. With all its material, It is deeper than your own self to keep that relation storyline, that love affair. That is beyond sex, it is beyond family, it is beyond religion, it is beyond matter. It is beyond life and death. And your children, I think about my children and I think, do I really want my children to have my sorrow, to share this shadow love? As I would put it, as many people would compare themselves with the royal family problems. And yes, of course, I'm here to promote the monarchy. If there is something better for us to look for as humans, that Diana has left a legacy of creating impact through the media, that royalty and the narrative through the press relate with the queen, that and all this back and forth negotiation between the highest and the writers and the thinkers and the creative and the artist, to give back and forth and reflection of themselves from the highest to the wall, with our mistakes and our glories and our sense of making love. But when you really think orgiarchal, and that's my word and way of thinking to the future and to the next 3,000 years, thanks to my fellow friends of role play and universal understanding, as I always say, to say universal love would be too much to ask. Because many would fight that universal understanding is English, or that the colony is wrong, the white people are wrong, because they would think that English language is from Europe and that all the kingdoms from Europe will side to the English because of the kingdoms or their history, and even the Greeks and the philosophers. It has nothing to do with that. It is beyond its measures because they have gone in exploration. You know how much love it takes from the priests and nuns. There were so many colonizers who would never want to have a castle because they love the adventure. And I know from the stories of dukes of in Spain, because it creates a psychedelic craziness and psychopath. They know I want to go back to South America and go back into the adventures, because explorers could never stop being explorer. They would never want to be settled with a kingdom and be the duke of this land. They would say in their writings how annoying it would be to just have such a land and know that everything is there, settle it, and perfect as it is, with the taxpayer, and just go back and all this decor. And no, they wanted to go out in the venture, in the unknown. So there was a strong philosophical and spiritual root, not just to Christianism, but to nonsense and craziness. An occult, I'm not saying occult from the occult, the spiritual voodoo arts and supernatural, no. Just stories. Just you're just making love with a South American, Native American. That's it. It's just to your own. You don't have to stay just to seek that story. But you could tell by the aftermath of 500 years, you have all these South Americans who made love to each other, from South Americans to African descendants and Spaniards. They all made love to each other for 500 years. Is ever anyone right about that? No, that's occult. It's not like the occult voodoo or supernatural manipulations of mind psychic. No, 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 no. It's just they just made love. It's not been writing. That's it. When you're making love, are you really thinking about all this bullshit? Tell me the truth. If you want to show what is the best in this world, that is the universal love through all the characters you have played. Because of course, when you're in character, you have to prove your role. If I'm playing, if I am playing a role that is sticks, any role that is science fiction, supernatural, fiction, not true. It's a story, but it's felt as real. You need that also in movies, a scriptwriting, whatever it is, in your true life. Like Kate really loves William. She would do anything to keep her love afloat. The best crimes has been committed under that rule of selfishness love, which is Venusian. It is only to the material realm, the average belief, what it seems to be. In the in the low degree of the self. And the first stage, I had many stories in my mind as to say, do you really need to go to the underworld? Do you really not need to go through shit? Or would you have an orgiarchal way of thinking? I'm not asking you to go into an orgy and make sex with everyone in this world to have a universal understanding or love or common sense. Honey, no one on this earth will wish to be a skeleton like you and provoke division because you think to be the best. And this is going to coordinate through millions, billions of people against not just you, but anyone who supports you. And this is the love you have for William? Because you can make believe anything you want with your pussy love and image, with your white people around you to propel the storyline. And you can all applaud each other. And you can all say yes, 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 and put in the media this. But the reality of the world, of all this world, which is only one and one reality, could say one. I'm going to do that because I want money. I'm going to do that because I want peace. And it's not convenient to have opposition because I am selling these things from my countries and I have these values, even though I like the Russians who are against the West or the East or the free world. But the Commonwealth is going to collapse unconsciously because they just want to be themselves. And then when unconsciously, you don't know the subconscious of people, the rage of it all, which is beyond your natural fakeness. Anyone could be a skeleton with surgery and be raped by daddy if you are the best girl in the world, better than your daddy. Just like Meghan Markle, the same bullshit. Middle class ranger wanting to be better. Would middle class want to be just as they are? Because poor people love us as they are. They know they're going to be poor. The high class know they're going to die with what they have. They don't even care about money. They know they're going to die with the same position they had. They don't have such a survival mode like the middle class have. No matter how much money you put on fakery and surgery and acting lessons and posing, it's going to be the same what you juxtapoint against Meghan Markle to Catherine, however last name you want to put it and address aside. But we all have We all have all these patterns of belief. When we are in the middle of the poor and the rich, we don't want to be poor, we want to be rich. We want to push other people down, we want to be up, if we push others down. I've been saying the same story over and over and over and over again. Once the program is made where people are voting for those who are working in government, and you can see everything they have made along their career, that even it is more worth it that this person was working in a restaurant that was treating his clients for his community, there was a good husband, there was a good woman, more than trafficking and stealing people's money like Donald Trump. Because being popular is more important. Being a thief, being a joke. At least he brought truth to it among all of them. Donald Trump. He had a degree from all the shit he carried along his own composition. He carried a degree of decency. Just one enough. And even in his silence, when he bowed to the queen, even if he was zigzagging, like if he was superior, along the British royal guards. Because everyone has this delusion. If they go to role play with their alter ego, they want to have these things in real life. I'm playing all these things because everyone is dreaming for superpowers. I'm having all these theatrical conversations. It is enough to have one lover, at least at a time, or to understand the love of any person towards another as an orgiacal way of thinking. When you go to rest and love all the people you have seen on internet, you really have loved, even with their own mistakes, because you understand where it's coming from. And it's not that you want to change them or fix them, but you love them. Do you really love your children to be perfect? You just love them. You have 20 years ahead, so they become like you, or 25, or 30, or 40. I don't think Jesus will want us to talk about him anymore. He might be remembered as Moises and be talked over as Moises in the next 300 years or Allah, but not like the most famous character in the world. Because if he will put himself or others to make evolution, really, he would say, I want you to tell your story, not mine. It doesn't matter how humble it is. It doesn't matter if you are saying 1, 2, 3, chapter 4, but you're enjoying that little stroke of color that you're doing in your multi universe, in your scenography. But to know that somebody is stealing your work, they should be reputable. And to understand that ecstasy doesn't exist as a wall. I feel that when I'm asleep. I feel that when I try to wake up and bring that to work, wherever I'm working, whatever I want to bring everyone into my heavenly state, that I believe we are all in that state. Whatever I am working in McDonald's, whatever I'm working in an office to sell, whatever I'm working for their marketplace with brokers, whatever I'm working as an governess in the Middle East, wherever I'm passing information, to the MI6 or MI5, where am I passing information? I go very well, they're gonna pass it to higher sources because it's saying this and this is the tool they have to get to other sources and get to meet this person. It does not matter as long as the matter just goes to its source. Whatever you did is not crucial enough as for the work to move on. So why do you want to make your thing your own? That's the problem. And this is going to continue and continue and continue to continue again as a pattern of make believe until you all get it. And this is my birthday in the 10th of January 2023. Next year I will be half of a century. My children deserve their mother under the rules of human rights. I deserve my work that I have work under whatever rules exist. Is there a continuation going to happen? Yes, of course it's going to happen. Are you going to start to making all these meetings that are well? Yes, of course it's going to happen. Is this global map is going to be equally distributed to the continents who are meant to have it? Because this is the only world we share as it is as one only reality. It doesn't matter what culture we are, which kings we have, which leaders we have, which political parties are ruling, or caciques of chief of American tribes, or political notions. We do have this understanding which is universal and is our only world. You, only you, can mediate this. And I can only mediate for what is considered for my rights, which should be as well human. And if you're the highest class and humanity is an insult, humans, this is an instrument for you to get more, of course you need to get grounded. Because we're going to be chopped as the last queen of France. And at the same time, we need to grow to the cream and the tip of the cream and to be the top of the cherry of our own. To have a constitutional form that believes to be the best of ourselves in our own inner authority, which relates with the others. As in India, they say namaste. I honor my master honors your master. But you do have to have a condescendence. And I say condescendence in the positive way. It's not entitling way to think we're above others because we're in this cycle of growth. And we only have this time and power to deliver this. As all my ancestors wish to be more time with their children, I also wish to be more time with my children and my teenagers. To know that true love does exist and we have this time to enjoy our simple things. Mother and father wish to be more time with us in all my ancestors. So where is the void? Because love has higher frequency. And Einstein said that. Could who had a scientific formula to it? No, but I have it. And I will show it to you. And it will be proven when it's certified. You've been playing there. You know it very well as a role player, or a businessman, or a man of your core. for those who giving you the power to do so. We still need to believe something higher among ourselves exists between us. And that is the Christian way. Other religions might call it in other names. It is of them to say it in their own translation, not ours. But we can create a dialogue in between to make this world a better world. As cliche as it sounds, do you really need to go to the university and study mathematics and be the Prime Minister of England? And be born from other cultures to prove this? No, anyone could prove this. Boris Johnson could prove this, even if he's not Prime Minister, working behind the talons. That peace can exist, that dialogue can exist, that mediations can exist, that members of parliament can exist and can talk with one another. And this is not a therapy room to be shared in the public domain, so people can trash their emotions out on others. That's not therapy, also, to express yourself. So it's so disassociated, the emotions and the reality from what is really going on. It's so distorted. So now everyone shares that Boris Johnson is this and this and that because they did this and this and that because the lowest class is online, shitting around. So this has been the predominant. Are we going to allow the multimedia, who is always online, to trash those who have a spark to give? Or are we going to allow the middle class to influence the wannabe queen? And what I mean is, this is the category of every person that is newly rich, from Bill Gates, from Elon Musk, from all those in multimedia who think to have so much power because they have so many likes. But look at it, all the world lies. Do you really care? No. They were not born to care. They were born to have more. They never were born with a property of their own. Did their parents really sacrifice for others to believe others exist? No. They went there to exploit others, to help others, to be with others who have more. Because by proving they are better. This is the storyline of how powers are given until today. Because they're good servants for the people. So we will have more power. Go for it. And then they will stab you in the back because they want more. They did it to have more. They never really did it for others. It was just a story. Being born. Like if to be in the top of a wave is all you need. No, you need to be in the ocean, looking which wave to catch when you're surfing. You're not just going to jump onto any wave. It's time to think which wave is going to last longer, and it takes a sense of its own. But you're gonna just make all this publicity, all this waste of energy, making yourself in top of every wave you can, even if you were not didn't last longer, but take so much effort to be in the top of the wave. It doesn't matter how long you. So it's so much work. You cannot even relax to watch the waves. It's just to understand the huge science behind it. To see this wave is going to last for me to go surfing through it all for a longer time. Not all waves are made the same. But nobody's going to appreciate the genius, the real surfer. Because these are the people who are there to steal from others. They're giving, they're following the storyline, they're following the script, they're following the Bible, they're going to have credit because they're following all these points. They're married, they have these children. They can do it with prostitute or underage among each other because they have this exclusive secret among them. They're free to do whatever they want because they're exclusive. There you go. But they never surf a single great wave that's been catched by their own. Just publicity. It makes believe they really did it, but they didn't. It was just a picture there, a snap. They are, but they never really got to catch that wave. This was created from this person. This was created from that person. You have invested from this. You have stolen from that. You were very smart to take. That's what psychopaths do. They don't have any emotion from others. They're incapable to create any movement. They're very good to remind us, but it's of us to think what for. So will I promise in my Bible, in the Bible of my own agenda, what am I going to do for my own life and that which surrounds me in my reality? That I am to honor myself and that which surrounds me in my reality. Because if they deserve it, yes. If they understand the frequency, yes. If they honor the frequency, yes. If they understand the many generation that it takes, yes. If they understand they are not in that higher level of generational evolution, yes. It doesn't matter how many books you read or how many zeros you have in your account. You are another Caligula. You can't see it. You can be erased in the future as another Caligula and be remembered as such. You have to be very aware of people like many who are watching you. You don't want this to be the fall of the wave that you never had, really. So be pragmatic and think, who are you dealing with? It's not as it seems you think to be. No matter how many words, no matter how much power, people or nations are going to take what is best for them and they're going to continue for the next generations and centuries to make their own. And they will invest in more weapons. And they will invest in more undercover stories to infiltrate. Not just now, they're premeditating to do this from the Chinese and the Arab world. The South American are fine because they love to dance and love. They don't give a shit about all this bullshit. They're real. South Americans are more real than when you think to be. They might not look like because they invest in protection so much. Some do. Some are not as deep as Europeans. Europeans are deeper. They have a degree of class. But still, they can get. There are tendencies to fall into the tyranny of the kingdom, the tyranny of dictators, the tyranny of what everyone thinks of what is to be, that everyone says yes, in the old tradition of agreeing. So the process is much slower in Europe than us in America, which they are faster into action, immediate work in group. They don't monopolize too much as action they have. But so much action creates so much disgrace as well. So much action as well creates so much aggression. The glamour, that romance, that that back and forth to get there is lost. Because action is main in America. They're already activated. From the imaginary to the celebrative to the go, go, go. Which is great. It's great to honor the unknown, the science, the discovery, but so much has been lost. So it is good to honor from other countries and respect as they are. They don't need to be as us, but at least understand this sort of dialogue. If Jordan Peterson wants to talk like that, well, the freedom of expression has limits. Of course. Yeah, freedom of expression. I'm going to go out there and insult all these sort of people because I have a academic degree and I'm supported by the white right, who has a lot of money, and the Bible and the Jewish, who have a lot of money as well, and the men. So yeah, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Fuck. I have more. And I have a university degree. Not just a university degree. It's a degree in psychology and caring for people in all its forms. So freedom of speech, yes, you have to have a freedom of speech because philosophers, psychologists, neurologists, scientists, doctors are understanding and stepping on frontiers of evolution that we've never been, and we're creating new sickness. So these dialogues needs to be moved forward because we're creating misunderstandings. We need to move away from these phobias to prevent, not to come after. You have to talk from a preventive stage. But you really have to go back into your own roots to understand all your juxtapoints, all the members of your family, not just you as a rapist, but you who was raped, and your mother and your father, and all the generations who had to follow through what they had to go through, and they gave their best. How will you know what Black people are going through? In their minds, because in reality, they're treated equally. But in their minds, in their narrative. Why insult the walk? And you will kind of go on and go on and go on, same story. But where is evolution moving? Are people happier dancing? Do they have basic needs? Those are the values. Who gives a shit with how many women you are, or if you are with the same fucking pussy, or you fuck whoever? I don't care. I could care less. That's what you say that is your value with the needs of this world? Man, if something good the King Charles did and Camilla, because King Charles could have been fucking many pussies. Camilla was just another one, maybe. Or maybe not in the 80s. Come on, what would you do in the 80s? Would you do the same? And I was in the 80s. I was maybe in the 90s, late 90s, fucking around as well and having a jolly life. Was somebody judging that? Hell no. Not even the Queen of England knew what we were doing. We're just having fun. We were hurting anyone? No. Charles, Diana, everyone was fucking everyone in a good sense of rhythm. Was that bad, really? In in secrecy, not like an orgiacal thinking. I'm talking about orgiacal thinking in the sense of loving each other beyond our own possessions. I'm not saying to go and have an orgy, but it's an emotional thought where we love all each other, whatever we like or not. So it's good to be a little bit drunk with Dipsy with the homemade rakia from Serbia. Thank you, Anna, roommate. I don't like my roommates, but I like them at the same time. So I try to be grateful, but I could take more baths in my home and enjoy my kitchen much more if I share the same standards. But there are good things like this homemade, whatever it is, rakia from Serbia. I would never buy it. Oh, the Maris makes a little Dipsy. And if you need one person to be loyal with, then go for it. There will be ups and downs, as people say. People say from the old marriages, they feel so proud to be so many decades together. Oh, I have what do you have? 40 years together. Oh, great for you. Great for you. But your husband is having these, what, psychological partners? What is it? We all need to understand this level of universal love. Could be sexual, non-sexual, but we need to transcend and move beyond. And there is nothing more beautiful than to see a society making love and dancing and trusting one another. That is for sure. And the tech giants are responsible to create a solid ground for people to go out and report and get money. Report from the work that they are doing and delivering around the world. And whom is better than our very influencers? And whom is better than our leaders? Whom is better than our kings and presidents and leaders to promote this? Not just our government, but our systems of belief. So now artificial intelligence is going to do our arts. Yeah. So we might just watch artificial intelligence making love because we don't need to make love. Artificial intelligence can do it for us, right? Just program, not just work to have artificial intelligence. Be a program yourself without any feelings. Because feelings can be programmed as well and manipulating. It's chemistry. And then, what is your creation? You can see that was made from artificial intelligence. It had no genius of its own nature. You can see that was a Michelangelo. You could see that was a real person. You could see the signature of this person, of all what this person went through to create that, of how many failures it had just to create this only and single masterpiece. And for that we exist. For that. Did I want to see my sister again? Hell no. That I could see her again? Yes. Big deal. It's not a big deal. My life has better things to do. Bye.